going on, guys? I just want to jump on here real quick and encourage you guys with something that I had on my heart this morning, and it was waking up, just feeling tired, weary, burdened, heavy, work just being probably one of the most difficult weeks that I've ever had as a professional. My wife still being gone, not being home until tomorrow. It's been 9 days. Tomorrow will be 10 days she's been gone, out of the country. Unable to pick up the phone and call her when I want. This is a woman who is my rock. She's the mother of my children. She is an amazing homemaker who takes care of more things than I ever thought and knew until this week. And I've been exposed. And, it's just her being a soundboard, her being that person that is my support system, and her not being here and it being difficult. And just being a jerk to my kids this morning, and just being a jerk to everybody. And it was just being in that moment where my heart was just hard, and I just was lacking thankfulness. And I had my eyes on everything else but God. And it's in that moment that I realized that how often do I get on here and say, God is my source. Keep your eyes on Christ. Keep your eyes fixed on him, because without him, it ain't possible, and you can't be sad. All these things that I tell you guys all the time. And here I was struggling to keep my eyes on God. And it was the walls were closing in on me, and the evidence, I'm looking around, looking at the landscape of my life, and the evidence is stacked against me. And I'm just sitting there questioning, God, are you even here? Have you forsaken me? Have you left? Do you hear me? I'm crying out. I need help. And how many of you guys are in a similar situation where you just wonder if God's even there? I thought about the story from Matthew 14, and I think in Mark 6, where Jesus walks on water, and the disciples are in this boat, and the storm and the seas are raging, chaos, life. Guys, it's the waves are crashing around us. And these disciples were in the boat, and they had lost their faith, and they were in fear. And as they looked out into the distance, they see this ghost walking on water. It looks like a man walking on water. And it wasn't until that ghost got a little closer and they realized it wasn't a ghost, that it was Jesus. And it was, Jesus coming up to them and saying, don't be afraid. Take courage. I'm with you. And it was Peter boldly jumping out and saying, hey, if it's you, Jesus, tell me to get out of the boat and come walking to you. And Jesus said, come. And so Peter takes that bold step, and he steps out onto that water, and he's walking on water. And it wasn't until he took his eyes off of Christ and started looking at the waves and hearing the wind and seeing the storm raging around him. And what happened? He sunk. He took his eyes off of Christ and he sunk. And it was Jesus there giving him that hand that said, hey, let's go. And I was reminded quickly that I have taken my eyes off of him. I've put my eyes on the things of this world. I've put my eyes on all of the problems, all of the issues, all of the voices, everybody saying what they're saying, and I've taken my eyes off of the one. So guys, I want to challenge you, those that are walking through a storm right now, those that are walking through trials, those that are walking through problems, and you feel like God has forsaken you and he's not there. I want to remind you that he is there. He said it to the disciples. Don't be afraid. Take courage. I am here. He's with us. And because he's with us, we have to keep our eyes fixed on him, fixed on his mission, fixed on what he has for our life. Because as soon as we take our eyes off of him and we put our eyes on the other things, just as Peter sank into that water, that's the same thing that happens in our life. We sink into the problems of our life. So I want to encourage you guys, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. And as I'm telling you, I'm telling myself, because guys, I'm struggling just like you are. But let's do this together.